All right, buckle up because today we're going deep on a profession that's as essential as it is unexpected. Poultry sexing.
Oh, wow. When you said we were diving into career guides, interview tips, and even AI analysis all about poultry sexing, I was intrigued.
Intrigued is a good word, and you know me, I had to dig into this. So for our listeners who might be wondering what we're talking about, what exactly is poultry sexing? And I'll preface this by saying it's more than just a punchline, right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay, good. Glad we can agree on that.
At a very basic level, it is determining the sex of a chick. And yes, that does involve examining their anatomy. But what's fascinating and what most people don't realize is how incredibly skilled a profession this is and how vital it is to the entire poultry industry.
That's where it gets really interesting to me because we're not just talking about, sorting birds. This is about the economics of an entire industry.
Precisely. Think about it. Male and female chickens, they serve completely different purposes on a farm. Roosters are primarily for breeding, while hens are the egg layers, the backbone of the entire egg industry.
Right, which impacts everything from our breakfast to the baked goods aisle.
Exactly. And because of those different roles, separating them early is absolutely crucial. It allows farmers to tailor their care, optimize their growth, and ultimately maximize their productivity and profits. Poultry sexing is all about ensuring that efficiency.
That makes total sense. So we've established that it's essential, but what's it actually like to be a poultry sexer? Paint us a picture. What does a typical day look like?
Well, it's not the most glamorous job, that's for sure.
I can imagine.
You're working in close quarters with a lot of chicks.
A lot of chicks.
The environment can be corporate fragrant,
Okay, that's what I was picturing.
and it's definitely physically demanding.
I was just about to say, our research mentions standing for long periods, potential exposure to dust and allergens. It sounds like you need a pretty specific constitution to handle it.
You do. But here's where it gets really surprising. There's a lot more to this job than meets the eye. In fact, according to one of our sources, a whopping 72% of a poultry sexer's role involves customer service and personal skills.
72%. You're telling me that being a poultry sexer is as much about people skills as it is about, well, chickens.
That's exactly right. It's not just about the birds themselves. It's about the entire ecosystem surrounding them.
Okay, so 72% customer service skills. That's wild. Who are they interacting with? Is it farm managers, other poultry sexers, maybe the occasional concerned chicken parent?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a surprisingly social job. We're talking interactions with farm managers, of course, but also other workers, suppliers, even trainees. Poultry sexers need to be able to communicate clearly, maintain accurate records.
Oh, so there's a paperwork element to this.
Absolutely, there's data entry involved.
Wow.
And sometimes they even need to train newcomers.
So we're not just talking about being good with your hands. This is someone who needs sharp observational skills, data entry, maybe even leadership qualities as they progress, which,
Wow.
by the way, our deep dive revealed there's actually a whole career ladder in poultry sexing.
Absolutely. You might start as an entry-level sexer, then with experience move up to junior and eventually senior positions. And the responsibilities grow with each level.
What, so you could end up a senior poultry sexer heading a whole team of chick identifiers? That's amazing. What does that involve?
Well, as you gain experience, you're not just sexing chicks, but overseeing the entire process, training those newcomers we talked about, and potentially even conducting research into new techniques.
Wow, so you could go from handling chicks to leading the field, maybe even giving a TED Talk someday on the future of poultry sexing. What other unexpected skills are needed?
You wouldn't believe it. There's math involved, of course, for record keeping, and then economics and accounting to understand the business side of this massive industry. Some poultry sexers even find themselves using sales and marketing to promote those expertly sexed chicks.
Okay, hold on, let me get this straight. We're talking about a job that requires you to tell a chick's gender with your bare hands, but also requires you to be a skilled communicator, a data analyst, and a potential salesperson. I am seeing poultry sexing in a whole new light.
It's a really fascinating blend of the traditional and the modern, especially when you start considering the role of technology.
That's what I was just thinking. Here we have this age-old profession, and suddenly we're in the 21st century. How is technology changing the game for poultry sexers?
It's incredible, really. For a job that's been around for centuries, poultry sexing might be on the verge of a technological revolution with things like DNA analysis.
Okay, so instead of relying on a trained eye and a whole lot of, let's say, up close and personal experience, you can just take a tiny blood sample and have a machine tell you the sex with almost perfect accuracy. That's mind-blowing. But also, it makes sense. DNA analysis is everywhere these days.
It really is remarkable, and it begs the question, does this mean the days of the human poultry sexer are numbered?
That's the big question, isn't it? Which jobs will robots steal, and which ones will always require that irreplaceable human element? I can see both sides with this one, to be honest.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. It's not just about chickens, it's about the future of work itself and how tradition intersects with innovation. You have this age-old practice that might be facing disruption from DNA analysis and potential automation.
It really makes you wonder what other professions, ones we might not expect, could be on a similar path. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, we have to talk about these interview questions. Our research included some real-life examples of what aspiring poultry sexers are asked, and let's just say some of them are
Oh,
doozies.
I know. They run the gamut from the very practical to the downright perplexing.
Exactly. You've got your standard questions like, how do you ensure accuracy when sexing poultry? Important, of course, but expected. And then you get to the ones that make you wonder what they're really getting at. Like, how do you prove you're passionate about poultry? What do you even say to that?
Right. I spent my weekends reading up on the history of chicken domestication. I mean, how do you even begin to answer that question in a job interview?
Well, I imagine the key is to showcase your genuine interest. Maybe highlight any experiences you've had, even if they're not directly related to poultry.
Okay, so maybe play up the transferable skills angle,
Yeah,
like attention to detail, working under pressure.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But there was another question our listeners might find interesting, something about um, identifying mistakes during the sexing process.
Right. Right.
That one really made me think, what kind of pressure are poultry sexers under to get it right every single time? And what happens if they do make a mistake?
Yeah, it's a high stakes situation when you think about the potential impact on a whole farm or even a supply chain. Absolutely, yeah.
But like in any profession, it's about problem solving, learning from those mistakes, and constantly honing your skills.
That's a good point. It's not about being perfect, but about how you adapt and improve, which I guess could apply to any career, right?
Absolutely.
So for our listener who's heard all of this and is maybe even thinking, hey, a career in poultry sexing sounds pretty intriguing, what advice would you give them?
Honestly, I'd say go for it.
Really?
It's definitely a unique path, and based on our research, there's a real demand for skilled poultry sexers.
Right, RoleCatcher made it clear that this isn't some niche dying out profession.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But like with any career, it's important to, you know, do your research.
Of course, yeah.
Learn everything you can about avian anatomy, understand the ins and outs of the poultry industry, connect with people already in the field.
Network, network, network.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one leading those training sessions, teaching others the art of poultry sexing.
Or even heading up a research team, developing new techniques, maybe even pushing those technological boundaries. It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as identifying the sex of a chick can open up so many possibilities.
It really goes to show that there's often more to a job than meets the eye. What we might initially see as just a punchline is actually a vital part of a multi-billion-dollar industry, requiring a unique set of skills and offering a surprisingly diverse range of career paths.
It's been eye-opening, to say the least, and it makes you wonder what other hidden professions are out there, tucked away in the fabric of our everyday lives, full of unexpected complexities and waiting to be explored.
That's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not just about what we learn about a specific topic, but about how it changes our perspective and opens our minds to new possibilities.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners, the next time you hear about poultry sexing, remember it's more than just a funny story. It's a reminder that there's always more than meets the eye, and that even the most unexpected corners of the world can hold fascinating insights and opportunities. This has been The Deep Dive, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the unexpected.